Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. Today is something a little different. I was recently at the grocery store and it is a couple of days after Valentine's Day and I see them cleaning out all the spent flowers and things that have not sold. And I asked the lady if I could buy them at a discount or have them, and she said just take them. So today I'm going to try and do some eco flower dyeing since they're so pretty and vibrant still. You know, they're not obviously spent. They're not in the best shape. But let's see what we can get out of this. So for me, eco dyeing is kind of a hit and miss. Sometimes I get spectacular results and other times I get dismal results. So it's always a mystery, and that's kind of one of the things I love about eco dyeing. So let's get started. I'm going to just chop these pieces off. Now I'm holding my camera and because I don't have a mount out here in the kitchen, and I just snip pieces off and put them on a plate here. And then when I have a collection, I will add them to the paper. Okay, so I have them all chopped down now, and there's quite a significant amount here of different flowers and species. Oops, I thought I got rid of all the plastic. Let's get rid of that. And there's a couple of different things here, some freesias and Fuji mums, I think these were. And even though these are white and obviously not going to transfer any kind of color, I'm thinking that they might kind of block color from being transferred to the paper. So then I'll get an outline ridge of these. We'll see. It's always a fun mystery. And this time, for the first time, I've never done this before, but I'm going to take the stems of the flowers, I'm going to chop them up, and I'm going to boil those with the water and see if we can't leach out any kind of color from these. So we'll see. Again, total experiment. Could be a winner, could be a loser. I don't know. I'm no professional. I just like to do this. So I'm going to take some watercolor paper. This is just the Michaels brand Artist Loft paper. It's 140 pound. And I'm going to chop it into fours because I only have a big, tall, what's the word I'm looking for? A pan, I guess, to cook in. I don't have a flat pan or anything to weigh full sheets down. I have to cut mine into smaller papers, and that's okay because I tend to like the smaller pieces of eco dye anyways. I find them a little bit easier to use than having a really big beautiful piece and having to chop it up. So that's just my preference, and it also works for what I'm using to boil these flowers with. So now here's my pan. So as you can see, it is a very tall pan. So I want to add some alum and some water. I'm just gonna add what I have here. That's probably half a cup. I don't have a recipe. I just throw in what I have and kind of let it dilute. So alum won't really hurt you, but if you wanna wear gloves, you can wear gloves. I suppose if you were to soak in alum for a very long time, it might be damaging, but for this application, it's not really gonna hurt. So here is, and you can buy alum in just about any drugstore, any baking shop. I got mine from the Bulk Barn in Canada here, and it's pretty inexpensive. So I chopped down some of my papers. I chopped them down to, what was it, 4.5 by 6 inches. And as I'm chopping more, I just let my papers soak in the alum. I find it will help transfer any color that we might be able to leach out of these flowers. So the longer they soak, the better. As long as I am using watercolor paper. If you were to use a thin paper, you probably wouldn't want to do this because the paper will break apart. But this paper is designed to absorb water and hold its shape. So I'm going to cut some more. So I also have these scrap pieces of fabric that I have. I don't know, I'm assuming they're cotton or maybe plant-based. I could be wrong. They could be a blend and they won't work, but I'm gonna give them a try. Because I have so much plant matter left, I'm going to use these cans that I have, and I'm gonna roll the fabric. Come on. Cooperating. I'm going to roll the fabric around the can with plant matter in between. And I want to keep using these tins because I want them to go rusty. I want as much rust in my mixture as possible. Now I don't have anything rusty to add yet. I haven't found anything, but I love the look that rust adds to the paper. Now, if I had instant coffee, I'd probably put instant coffee in here. I think I might maybe throw some food coloring in because I don't have anything to actually dye the paper a little bit with. I do love the coffee dyed look. You know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use some tea bags. That's what I'll use this time. I have never done it with tea, so we'll give that a go. So what I would do with these is I would cut and rip the fabric to the width, the length, I should say, of the can. So that way I can roll the plant matter in and tie it off with twine, which I'll show you soon. Okay, so we've got the paper that's been soaking. I've got the fabric soaking. Like I said, I don't know if it's cotton or not. We shall see. So let's assemble a few here. And I'm just doing this with one hand, so my camera might move a little bit. And I'm just gonna chop a couple of pieces and we'll sandwich them in and see what we get. So I'll just stick them in there and grab another piece of soaked paper and smush that on top. And then grab something else. So there's a kind of science behind it because there's tannins and all kinds of things in plants. Some things transfer really well. Other, I find it's kind of a smorgasbord of experiments because, for example, I'm not even sure what this is. I think it's a calla lily leaf. Anyways, this might not transfer to the paper. What might happen is just the color will leach out into the water and stain the paper. So again, you never know what you're going to get. And that's what I just love about eco dyeing. Now there's those who will know what they get because they've been doing it for a long time and they know what plant matter to use. And I'm not there. I'm learning as I go. And I just love, I've never been disappointed. Even when it doesn't work great, there's always something to work with. So it's nice to experiment and try some other things. So I think these are lilies actually, because I just found this lily here. So that's probably what they are. I have no idea if they will transfer or not, but we're gonna have fun trying to figure out what worked and what not worked when we pull this apart after it's boiled for a little while. So I'm just gonna sandwich these up, just putting layers and layers on, squishing them down, putting on different leaf matter. These I find the color doesn't come out, but what they do is if they're pressed really hard to the paper, they absorb the color of the water and then you get a negative relief. So when you take this off, you have the outline of it in white still, which is kind of fun. So it'd be fun to try this eco dyeing on colored paper as well, or pre-dyed in maybe coffee dye or something. Let's try some of these guys. And of course you can take some petals and just break the petals off, sprinkle them on. Millie, get out of there. My puppy's getting into everything. It's amazing I can get anything filmed. So if you're hearing a rattling in the background, she's just found some paper that the flowers were wrapped in. And she's tearing it apart. So much fun, aren't they? I love puppies, but she's the youngest by far I've ever had. And I'm learning a lot about puppies and how much work they are. I'm curious to see how these roses turn out. So I'm going to keep continuing to do that with these plant matters, and then I'll come back and show you how I roll the fabric one. Okay, so I made these two sandwich bundles here, and then I found some kind of scrap little cards and index cards, and I thought maybe I'll try and use some of those too. You can see they're pretty flimsy, so I don't know if the index card will really hold up to being boiled and not disintegrate when I pull it out, but this is what eco dyeing is all about with the experimentation. And I'm also going to show you right now how I roll one of these fabrics. So I'm just going to move these guys. I'm going to put these bundles back in the water. Just an FYI, when you're The one thing I do know about eco dyeing is the tighter the sandwich you can make between the papers, the better results you'll get. So if you have, say, like a metal plate on either side of these and tie them really tight, or gator clips or something, the tighter you can get them, the much better impressions you'll have. Now, I don't have anything like that right now. I'm always looking for something. So I just tied them as tight as I could, and I only have this really fat twine. So unfortunately, it's not the best, but hopefully we'll get something out of that. But like I said, the tighter the compression, the better the results. So for the fabric, all I do is pretty much the same thing. I will lay out the fabric and throw on some plant matter. This has also been sinking in the alum water. Oh, and the puppy's at it again. She's a holy terror right now. She had a good run this morning, but Millie is full of beans. So I'm just throwing on some plant matter. And then what I do is I take another roll, another piece, and I'll throw that on top. Sorry, I'm holding the camera while I'm doing this, so it's not that easy. And then I'll spread more plant matter on. I like to break these bright colored flowers up. Kind of sprinkle it, sorry, and then put some other plant matters down. So you can see I'm making my way through these pretty good. I don't have too many bright colors left. Not that it's going to transfer a bright color. It's very deceiving. I think these pink ones, these bright pink ones, will go more of a dark burgundy color. But we'll see. And these I find go green. Depends what I dye them with. So I'll fill that up to the ends, and then I'll put another sheet down, and I'll basically repeat this process until all my fabric pieces are used up. And then what I do at the end is I'll take the can and I'll roll them up around the can, which is a bit hard to do with one hand, but roll them up around the can as tight as I can, and then wrap that with twine, and that will go in the boiling water as well. Okay, so I've now put it all in the pot. So here's the can, here's the little pack of those index cards, and my 2 original bundles. I'm going to throw some tea in, so just some random tea. I don't know what brand it is, sorry, but it's just regular tea. Throw that in, maybe put one over here. And then I wanted to put some plant matter in, so let's do that. Sorry, my house is a disaster right now. That's the dog. Had my sweater on the ground. I'm just going to grab a little bit of whatever I have left over. I don't want to add too much because I want the color to come from the plant matter that's in there already. But I think this is just a little added something just in case. You never know. Like I said, it's just a constant experiment. And then I don't have anything to weigh this down. So what I use is the second pot of water. And then I'm holding my camera, so I can't really lift it. But I just put it in here to make sure that everything stays submerged and under the water as it boils. So I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'll turn it down to a simmer and probably let it simmer for about 35 to 40 minutes. And then we'll take it off and we'll have a look at what we got. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so here they are. They have semi-cooled, so they're warm to the touch, but not crazy hot like they are when they come out of the water. So I'm going to just snip one of these open here. Now the paper will be very fragile, so you do have to kind of be careful. I'm going to move this guy out the way. Just move these out the way here for a minute while I open this one up. I'm going to reuse this cord. Let's cut the knot here. Let's turn my scissors the right way. Let's see what we got. If we got anything, you can definitely tell the paper has been dyed, the tea color. Now I'm assuming quite a bit of this color will fade over time, especially if it's exposed to light. But the paper should retain a certain amount of color from the tea. So there's our first one. And these I would imagine would dye, would go a little bit lighter once they're dried as well. So that one was that purpley daisy mum, I think it was. So like I said, you never know what you're gonna get. So here's some yellow off these yellow daisies. So if you had rust that you could add in here, you get some really cool transfers. So you can see I never get a transfer from the, what are these called, ferns. But what sometimes they do is stop the color from absorbing, so they do kind of a negative print. I don't think I'm going to get that today because, like I said, that the pressure of the papers are really important. So the transfers aren't that great. A little disappointing, but still some fun paper to work with. Here's a pretty good one. See what I mean? You just kind of get a disappointing print and then suddenly, bam, you get this really beautiful piece you can do a lot with. So that's the beauty of eco dyeing. And like I said, I'm no professional, so you can Google other people. There's other products you can use as well to help the tannins and the pigments of the flowers move into the paper. That's really pretty. That was rose petals. That I think was that purple freesia. Yeah, it was. So it turned a green print. Fun, right? Like, there's just no telling. And then you get the double print because one on one side, one on the other. So that's actually turned out quite pretty. So you can see the paper has been pretty beaten up. So you have to be careful with it. So here's the yellow freesia with a little bit of green transfer. Not quite as nice as the leaves on the petals from the rose. So not too much on that one. This is really pretty. I love this detail here. I don't know what this stuff's called, but it came in the bouquet of flowers. Has a nice smell to it too, actually. So another one here, which you can also embellish. I've done a video on where I've embellished with watercolor paints and stuff to really pull out details of these, which is also a lot of fun. So here is some pink carnations. So they didn't transfer much. I didn't think they would, but I was hoping that the tea would penetrate through here and kind of make some interesting effects. So I got a little bit of interest, but nothing too big on that one. So far the rose petals have been the winner. So nothing spectacular on that. So I'll take these off. We'll do this pack and then I'll try the maybe we'll do half a pack and then we'll try the fabric and see if anything happened there. So this is the purpley pink freesia. So this transferred quite nicely. A lot of pigment in that one. Really nice. And even the leaf showed up on that one. This guy showed up. So it's like this. That's quite nice. Now to dry these, I just spread them out so they have time to dry. Don't want to compress them under something to keep them flat just yet because they might go moldy. So you want to give the paper time to dry naturally on its own. That's really pretty. I love the purple with the yellow, complementary colors. So that's a winner. I still like the roses better so far. So these didn't do too much. The slight outline here. And these are, I think these the white mums? I think they were. So, oh no, they were the lavender ones. I had some lavender mums in there. I think that's what they were. So even though they didn't have much color, they left traces behind. So really fun. So you can see, you can add food coloring and really play with the absorbency of the water into the watercolor paper and kind of be a little chemist and see if the natural tannins and whatever minerals and stuff are in flowers either repels the color or absorbs it. And it's just so much fun to experiment with. And I just keep going and going. So here is, I think this was the red carnation. So we got some brownie pinks on that, some really beautiful organic shapes. Can't really make out the flower, but that's okay because you get some really beautiful organic marbling effect here, which is sometimes really, really nice to have. So you do want to make sure you get as much plant matter off as you can. So here we'll put this one up. See how they're just such a fun surprise? Just love it. And these are free flowers, so bonus. But of course, summertime, right now it's -12 here where I am in Muskoka, Ontario, Canada. But you can, if you're in somewhere warm, you're going to have flowers and leaves and everything to play with. So this was just a bonus. I was supposed to do housework today. Went out and got groceries and then scored some free flowers. So I ended up not doing my housework and doing some eco printing instead. So these, I believe, were the light pink rose petals we put on here. And they went yellow. So there you go. Figure that one out. It's a mystery to me, but I'm no scientist. I'm no chemist. So how and what's in these actual flower petals, I couldn't tell you. But look at the beautiful effect of that. Again, very organic. Love it. Got 2 of them. So really pretty. Worth it. Very much worth it. Very pale impression here, which is quite pretty. Delicate looking. And I'm just going to do a few more because I don't want the video to be too long. So those were I believe they were yellow daisies. I don't think they were Gerbers. They're just some sort of daisy. Your typical daisy in a bouquet. So those have some really pretty effects there. Oops, I'm just going to take that off. Sorry. We'll show you that in a sec. So there's some really nice, very subtle. This is kind of pretty because you can really make out the flower print on that. And again, you can really embellish that paper. Oh, and this was this side. So this was on its own. And again, I know that these don't transfer, but I was hoping that it would repel, and it picked up a little bit. So again, experimental. So more pinks. Here's some more of that freesia. I just don't want the video to be too long. So for some reason, this one printed really well this time. Figure that one out too. I couldn't tell you why. But it sure is fun. And you really don't need much. Alum is pretty darn cheap. If you have rusty nails and tea or instant coffee, you can use that. The most expensive part was my watercolor paper, which is relatively inexpensive watercolor paper from Michaels. That was pretty. I'm not sure what that was. I think it was another one of those purple mums. It smells like a mum. So this is really nice too. I love these. I love it when it does that. Look at the vibrancy of that yellow. I wonder how well that will retain that color when it's dry. And I'll do another little clip of the video once the paper's dry and flat, so you can see the final results. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to do the whole bundle, but I can't help myself. Here's some red. That was the red carnation. So the red definitely transferred better than the pink. But you can see the stems didn't transfer anything. So I'll do this. Again, nice impression of a flower there. I don't know. I have a feeling that the fabric didn't transfer. It doesn't look like there's anything significant there. So these were, I think these were the freesia leaves. Look at so they went in green and they coming out purple with absorbency of other colors. Like, so much fun. So unpredictable. And you're never going to get the same thing. I mean, you could copy me exactly right now and you still get a different result. That's really pretty. I love that. All right, last one. Here we go, some more freesias. This, I think it was a lily leaf. It was a red lily or a burgundy lily, and it turned out a beautiful purple. So there we go, that's that pile. So I'll spread those out and let them dry. Should we do the little pile? I'm curious to see if these index cards held up, because they were just cheapy dollar store index cards. So they might just disintegrate for all I know, but let's give it a try. Let's see if I can get my scissors through a few layers. There we go. The puppy's asleep. Woohoo! It's like having a toddler. Having like 5 minutes to yourself. I'm just gonna move this out of the way. Okay, let's see. So this was just a wraparound to help me bind the paper without tearing the delicate index paper. And I used obviously the same plant matter, so I can tell already that these papers are really, really tender. And depending what chemical is in the paper, right, also plays a factor on what it will absorb. So far, very soft. And this was the pink carnations, not much there. You know, you could probably reuse this, and if you were to make your own paper and throw some of these in, that would be really pretty too. Some of this plant matter here. Okay. No, it's not picking up anything. So basically, it did not absorb much color in these very, very subtle. But what it did do is take those blue lines away, boil those right out. It's kind of given the paper a bit of a translucency too, which is kind of interesting. I wonder how these are going to dry. They almost feel waxy now. So it makes you wonder what process they do to make these cheap index cards. What's in them? So a little bit of purple is absorbed through this leaf here. I was really hoping these mom leaves would transfer because I really love the shape of those. So a little bit of purple, but not anything too significant here. It's definitely changed the feel of this paper. I don't know how to describe it. It feels waxy. And that's probably because it's pretty wet, but we'll see. I just want to get to my other paper that I know was more absorbent. It was more of this stuff here. See if it did anything. So very subtle. Very, very subtle. Is there a plant in there? Yes. Yes, there is. That one I just threw leaves in to see if it would grab any shapes. All right, let's get into this little bit thicker paper here. Again, not much going on. Now this paper I don't think I pre-soaked it for very long. It only had a few minutes in the tannin in the alum before I put it into this press here. Yeah, not too much in this one. That's too bad. But that's the nature of it, right? You don't know what you're going to get. Okay, let's do the fabric. And I think the fabric might be a little disappointing as well. But, so you can see the difference in papers. Paper choices have a huge effect in doing this sort of eco dyeing. So this is still what's the word I'm thinking of? Watercolor paper. And this is just cheapy index card, and I mean cheap. Plus these are really old. They're probably from the 80s. I got them at a thrift shop. And this is just like a cheapy, thicker type cardstock. So not very absorbent either. All right, let's move this over. And let's try this. Now, I'm not seeing any color on here, which is why I think this is not going to work. So in order to dye fabrics, eco dye fabric, you need a natural fiber. So cotton, silk, muslin. I don't know how do you say it. But this is what I had sitting on my desk, so I wanted to just try it. I'm going to reuse this anyways into other things. So as you can see, it has absorbed the tea, but not much else. Let me find the end and unroll all of it. So if you're using like a silk or a pure cotton, you're going to see some really pretty transfers. In this case, not so much. So look at all the pretty colors on there, but very little came off, which is kind of what I suspected, which means there's something else in this fabric that is not natural, as some sort of synthetic in there. But it's got a tea dye to it now. It's got some random colors. It's absorbed some color, purples, yellows, pinks. So we'll be able to use this up for something fun. It was worth the try. I was boiling anyways. So this one definitely absorbed a bit more color. Just take all, and I've seen some really stunning, I think the best transfer I've ever seen on fabric was eucalyptus on silk, and it is stunning. There's a lady who comes up from Toronto up here and sells her eco dye prints. So she sells the scraps and things like that as well, like the cutoffs from the clothing she make, and I buy those because they're small and I can use them in my journal, and they're just so beautiful. This is such a cool leaf. I don't know what that is, but that I'm keeping. I'll press it once it dries because it's such a pretty organic shape. Yep, so not much in the fabric, which is kind of what I suspected, but it was worth the try anyways. So there's just the one bundle left. So I got a little bit of color on this one, a lot of pink in this one. Just gonna try and pull this one out so you can see it. Got a little bit of transferring there, a little bit on the other side, but not much. Nothing's like defined, which is kind of what you want in when you're doing this process. You want some definition. So I'll leave that now. Don't need to watch all of that. And then I have one more bundle. I don't know, you can fast forward, I guess, if you don't want to see the reveal. It's pretty much going to be a repeat of the first one because it was the same process with the same flowers. But again, you never know what you're going to get. So I am going to film it. But again, you can always fast forward, skip to the end where you see them dried up. Up to you. Sorry, this was a bit of a choppy video because I have to start and stop and start and stop the video recording. But I kind of wanted to show the whole process with you. Oops, rip my paper here. Oh, that's off to a pretty good start right there. So I can't wait to see these dry. I'm curious. Primarily yellows and purples transferred. So you can see I just kind of like threw a bunch of things down. I wasn't overly concerned about, you know, if you were going to press these or something, press the flowers and they got to have all their space, and just throwing it down and seeing what I get. This is really cool. I love this piece. Lots of yellow. That's really pretty. What were those? Those were the rosebuds. They were like rose hips of some kind. They transferred. They were bright red when they went in, and now they transferred yellow. And I'm assuming that's the alum doing that. That's really pretty too. That's the bummer about eco print though, is you like both sides. I don't know which one you're going to use. So the freesias did quite well. Oops, ripping all my paper. It's pretty. There's another freesia. That's kind of nice actually, because it's picked up real subtle, the whole plant, like that. Here's the other side of it. Another daisy. I think the daisies, if I had maybe used instant coffee, would have picked up a little bit more with the contrast, because the tea is pretty light stain. All right, so again, more pinks and subtle leaves. This one's quite organic and subtle, which is quite pretty. Really going to be nice in a journal. That's really nice. That I would just kind of leave all on its own. There's this one, which is pretty neat. Again, really vibrant yellow. So here's that giant Fujimum. Fujimum? Is that what it is? There's sun coming in my window now, big time. Hope that's not too shiny for you. But there it is. That looks really cool. I wish I was a photographer. Take a picture of that, because that's really neat. Look how cool that looks. Or is it just me? So, yep, that was a big sucker there. And it transferred a little bit. It actually pulled more color than I expected, and I'm assuming, again, that's the alum reacting to actually get an impression on white paper from a white flower. So hopefully that glare from the sun isn't too bright for you. I can't tell because my camera is lower than where I'm sitting. And I can't move or the puppy will wake up. That's pretty. Nice organic matter there. It's pretty. So I have had better results, I have to say. But again, using tea for the first time, and these type of flowers for the first time. Usually I use leaves and things. But, you know, next time you're in the flower shop and they're tidying up flowers, ask for the remnants and they might give them to you, or you can get them really cheap because they're just discarding them anyways. And you can make your own eco paper. It's so much fun. Ooh, look at that one. That's fancy. This is so pretty. I wish this had it transferred over, but no luck there. That's a really pretty leaf. So this is a lily. I think it was a burgundy lily. And it went vibrant purple. Super vibrant. And we'll see how vibrant it stays once it dries. Almost done here. It's going to move a little faster. Pull these off. Not too much luck on those. You can rinse these papers too. Like when you're revealing them to yourself, you can throw them under the faucet and give them a rinse. But I have no camera mount in the kitchen, so I wanted to sit at my desk. That one is really pretty. I think that one's my favorite so far. I really like that one. And that, I'm not sure what it was. Yeah, maybe roses. I'm not sure. Rose petals, but that's really pretty. More freesias. Just gonna wipe those off. And you can see how the watercolor paper holds up. So again, pretty important what paper you use. It's pretty tough stuff to be able to be dunked in water for a while and then boiled for a while. So you do want to go with a relatively, okay, we'll check out the rest once it dries, and we'll go from there. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so here are the finished papers. So you can see that they faded a little bit in color. Just a little though. I mean, some of these colors are pretty intense and some really beautiful. I find when they dry too, you can get a little bit more detail in the print itself. Now I know, I'm pretty sure that if I had maybe tiles or metal plates to squeeze these between, the results would have been a lot better. Because when you sandwich them really tight, you get better results for sure. But these turned out quite pretty. This one's really fun. It's like a sunburst. So I won't go through them all. Some of them are, again, more successful than others. I really love these flash green ones. They're probably my favorite. Or maybe I will go through them. I'll just go through them all fast. Again, another really more detail once it's dried out, which is really nice. So I love these kind of eco-dyed papers. There's just something really charming and earthy about them that I love to add to journals. And they make for pretty quick journals because this paper is so thick. The watercolor paper is quite thick that you get, you know, a real nice, heavy kind of booklet journal quite quickly because the paper's so thick. So you can only add so many of these papers, I find, if you're doing it on watercolor paper, that is. Really pretty there. So all I did once they were drying was, once they dried, I laid them flat to dry, so they were all kind of warped and curled because of the moisture evaporating. Because of the nature of watercolor though, if you just rest them under something heavy, they'll flatten out for you. So it's, you just want to make sure they're dry if you're going to press them under, say, books or something, which I put them underneath a heavy box, and they flattened out, so they're pretty flat. I don't iron them or anything. I just let the paper kind of do its thing. This is so pretty. That turned out really nice. I can see this better now that it's dry. And the color faded a little, but not really that much. So the purples became more like blues when they dried. So again, really nice little impression here. I'll do this again and have better results. You can try different materials like iron, water. This time we used alum, but you can use iron and just really have fun. I'd like to experiment maybe with some dioxide, ink dioxide, because distressed oxide, sorry, because it oxidizes. So maybe when they're boiling in that, not much happens, but as the paper dries, they'll oxidize. I'm curious to see what that would do, so I might do that next when I get some flowers again, or when it's not buried in 1.5 feet of snow out there. That's really pretty. Very organic. Just really speaks to me. So that, I think this one is probably my favorite one. I really love it. And some purple there, so this one stayed purple as opposed to went blue when it dried. Some more purples. Another sunburst, that was that Fuji Mum, which was white when it went in, and the alum will grab it and turn it yellow. So really pretty, double-sided one. So there's that one. And the last one, very soft and delicate, very pretty. So that's the papers, and then I made a quick little booklet because I like to do botanical sketches. And here is just a quick little booklet I made. So this is a piece of eco-dyed fabric that I bought off a lady. It was a scrap that she had left over, and it's silk. So it's a natural fiber, and she said she used alum, iron, and eucalyptus leaves, and it was just so stunning. So I only had a tiny little piece, as you can see, and I was dying to use it. So I took a playing card, a big playing card that you may have seen in some other videos here. Let me just grab one. So it's a big guy, and I essentially just folded these right in half, and they fit in this card. So I just covered the card in the paper, in the fabric, sewed it all around because I do like a messy sew. And then lazily, because that's how I roll, I just sewed the signature right through the middle here. So it's got 3 signatures. Where is it? And I just sewed on my machine the signatures right through. So you can see they get a little wonky. Doesn't bother me though, because I much prefer to do this than hand sew. And then on the other side, when it gets a little wonky looking, I just cover it with a little piece of pretty lace. And now I have my journal with some eco prints in it, homemade eco prints with some beautiful eco dyed fabric, which of course we could do as well. You just got to get your hands on some silk or some cotton or linen, whatever it is, a natural fiber. And that's it. So that's my little eco dye process. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some ideas, some inspiration, and use up those beautiful flowers that you might have gotten for Valentine's Day. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day. Bye.